going into the team, I knew that we were a playoff team. Nobody else did apparently, but we did a really good job proving them wrong, and we proved that we're better than all those like the lower tier teams. Yeah, maybe we're still competing for that, the top spots, but we proved that we're much better than those lower tier teams, and that we are a playoff team, regardless of if they thought of it or not. And yeah, in that sense, I really do think that. I mean, it's like fun that we're able to play, go into playoffs as Clutch.
Hello and welcome back as Clutch Gaming are on match point versus TSM. You just heard from Apollo, who says he knows they're a playoff team and they can compete with the best of them. And I don't think after their performance today, anybody's going to be disputing that.
Definitely. I mean, we talked about, they beat them 2 times in the regular season early on, and people were like chalking that up to, it was early, it was before TSM had time to gel. Apollo got some crazy Baron steals. That's not going to happen all the time. But no one can take away what they've done so far in this series, because that has been very impressive.
They do have to close it out, though, because if you go back to even just last split, Lyra, Apollo, and Hakuho were up 2-1 versus Counter Logic Gaming, and then they lost that series 2-3. So they still have to close it out. They have to focus on that. But so far, Hakuho and Lyra have been playing out of their minds.
Yeah, we got to start to think about the adjustments now from TSM side, because they're the ones down in game count here. The Thresh is very big, in everyone's minds right now, because Hakuho is, playing it extremely well. So that probably, will be some sort of focus, but there are so many different ways to try and attack, support champion pool, and how many things are you really willing to sacrifice in order to go after, just one of his champions?
I do think that something has to change for them, though, because I looked at Sven's scores. They played 20 games throughout the regular season, including the tiebreakers. Throughout those games, Sven had 18 deaths total, so 18 deaths in 20 games. In these 3 games, he has died 11 times. That is an immense amount for him to be dying, especially compared to before, where he was really safe. Things like the Ezreal is what he was playing before, and now they put him on things like Kog'Maw recently and the Varus, so he's really exposed, and he's relying very heavily on Mithy as opposed to having his own self-sufficiency. So whether it's the pick that's changing, or you're kind of stopping Hakuho from having those pick champions himself.
Whether it's about your picks or their picks, the statement remains the same. The sentiment, I should say, remains the same. Something has to be different in this draft, and if it's not, TSM's out of chances. We mentioned that at the end of the last game, that you don't get any more freebies. There are no more, it's okay, we'll win the next one. You either win the next 2 here, or for the first time in North American LCS history, you don't pass quarterfinals. And for TSM, that is not a reality they want to admit.
I hear a lot of fans rallying around them right now, cheering them on stage, and they seem to be fairly well composed up there. So excited to see what the battle plan for this game is. So I think a lot of people would enjoy Silver Scrapes regardless if we get some more of this series, depending on if they're able to put up a victory here.
It's been a good series so far, and game number 4 should hopefully let us see some even more innovation. I mean, we had questions last game as we were coming into it. We got to see the picks reverse between the sides, and this time we'll hopefully get to see some more interesting choices come out. You can still, like you said, Kobe, you can hear the fans cheering on the TSM players as they're coming back. This is one of the oldest and biggest orgs in the NALCS. They've got tons of fans who want to see them progress past this match today, but Clutch Gaming will not make it easy.
Well, TSM are the winningest org. They've won the most NALCS titles, and they're the defending champions 3-time back-to-back-to-back, and they're looking for that 4th here, and everything should kind of be in their favor coming into the series, but Clutch has said that is not it. Even though Clutch is the 6th seed coming in, and TSM looked like they were on a tear, it doesn't matter.
Clutch is back on blue side this game, so we'll see how that changes things up here a little bit as they ban out the Scion first ban.
Clutch had banned Scion, GP, Tom Kench. TSM had banned Rakan, Azir, Morgana, and then the Swain was the first pick for Clutch. So that Morg, maybe? I don't know.
And we discussed this a little bit, but the Rakan bans, even on blue side from TSM here, they ban it regardless of their side. It really does feel like Sven and Mithy don't want to play the duo, whereas we well know, Apollo and Hakuho will be happy to grab up that if both parts are left available.
And they would absolutely love that, but like you said, even when you're on red side, banning that away means you don't feel very confident in yourself, or even being blue side and doing that on top of it. It just is really interesting, but also another interesting thing here, the Olaf ban, because TSM have been banning Rakan and Azir every single game.
So maybe you leave Azir up, but you leave Swain up,
Ooh.
and then you leave all
Vivin
kinds of
is
crazy stuff up.
undefeated on Azir. It's like 6
I mean,
games.
we saw the
now or something.
pentakill earlier on this split.
Yeah, but Lyra is undefeated on Skarner. They're gonna get one of the two here, Kobe.
For me? Oh, wow.
Okay.
So that would say that they put the confidence in Bjergsen, to play up against this guy, but maybe they'll even decide to pick it away or something here. Swain is picked up already.
Yeah, the Swain flex pickable, and the Swain and the Azir were the two that kind of stood out to us here. So if they pick Azir here for TSM, then Clutch could pivot and put the Swain somewhere else, but we already saw Febiven play it once.
TSM contemplating the AD carry pick. All right, they lock in the Caitlyn. They want to deny that one away from Apollo, and it also puts Sven on a champion that has a little bit more decision-making power when it comes to keeping himself safe.
It's self-sufficient, it dominates the lane, it's a takeaway, but this is the first time this split that Sven has played this champion where he's defaulted to the things like Ezreal, so it's a takeaway, but it's also the first time we're seeing him in NA play this.
This is what people wanted to see, though. Some adjustments from TSM in a must-win game for themselves. They leave up possible Azir there for Vivin, taking away from Apollo and that bottom lane. You don't just have to attack the support to try and break up that duo. And we'll see what they're able to accomplish. Now, Zach locked in for Lyra. That is going to be a more scaling jungler. This is about as far from the Olaf as you get. He wants to get some extra levels in Elastic Slingshot before he can really put that extra pressure onto lanes.
Yeah, we've fallen from the Predator, run-at-you, farm very fast junglers. Now we're in the Aftershock, engage jungler tier right below it for both of these guys. Mike Young, Sejuani for that engage range, and the Thresh picked up very early before the second ban phase.
We saw in some of the fan tweets as we were loading into this game that if there's no Thresh ban in Game 4, you would have to think that a lot of the conversation that you're going to see in almost any avenue after this series is going to be TSM's adaptation and pick ban. With this Thresh, how do you answer?
But it's made a lot of sense for them because there are counters, right? Before Mithy, he was playing the Tom Kenshin to it. That's considered a counter to it because you'll just eat the frog, right? Or use the frog
you
to
eat the
them,
cog,
right?
you are the
yeah,
frog.
I messed it up. Rhymes don't always work for me. But the Morgana, having that with the Black Shield, that's kind of another counter on top of it too. So they pivot there, they don't pick Bjergsen's mid laner, and they instead go for a counter here to lock down Hawkwo. So TSM have adjusted and picked a very strong double range bottom lane.
And I really like the Morgana in this one because the good Morgana players can just reactively Black Shield, and you don't even have to worry about, oh, is he going to go for me and he's going to hit the Tom Kench instead, and then it doesn't really matter if I eat him or whatever. Plus, on top of that, you have the added effect of, I love Morgana Caitlyn lanes binding into Caitlyn traps. It just makes it so you get hit by that one skill shot, then you take multiple abilities worth of damage, and it can be a very big chunk.
And it's a very punishing lane. Even if there's no Morgana on it, if the Thresh goes to throw a hook, you just get pelted on your way back if you miss it. So the Morgana on top of it just makes it a very punishing lane. So Hawkwo, he has to have the hooks land, but even then, the burden of execution is on Mithy for the Black Shield, so it's in TSM's court.
And as we get into that second part of the bans, you'll see TSM targeting one of the better laners against Caitlyn in the Varus, taking that away, not letting Apollo have that. And at the same time, they do have their second chance to get rid of that Azir. They will not allow Febiven onto that champion, while Clutch Gaming will continue to target the mid lane pool, Talia and Anivia, both removed.
Yeah, Syndra's still available, Cassiopeia is still available right now, and Bjergsen, he loves those two champions, and he'll play either one of them. And that one makes a lot of sense.
All right.
Darkest Hour.
Yes.
TSM calls upon something they have used time and time again. The Syndra summoned to the Rift for Bjergsen.
This is why, before this game started, we were talking about there are multiple ways to make adjustments around a problematic champion. Hawkwo on Thresh is destroying you guys with a bunch of death sentences. Now they have Black Shield. They have super long-range duo lane. Plus, they've been able to finagle it so that Bjergsen now on his Syndra, he has been a huge playmaker for this team in the recent weeks. Big part of the team's resurgence. Here we go, though. Now it's going to be the Ornn locked up as well for Clutch Gaming. Another huge team ultimate that can be used.
Everything locked in for game number 4. The Camille could be very, very dangerous for that Jhin. could have a lot of problems getting away from it. You got to protect Apollo very well for Clutch Gaming.
But we've seen Camille really fall out of favor with everyone favoring these tanks and being very difficult for her to abuse matchups up on the top side. A lot less teams are picking up the champion, and it does require some more attention.
Exactly.
So we got to see how they work around these picks, because it's a very bold champ select here from TSM.
Well, they're pushed up against the wall here. They are on double match point for Clutch Gaming. They lose any of these next 2 games, and we might even not even have a 5th, then they're out of playoffs. So TSM, they fall back to some comfort here, some other champions that they're pulling out for the first time, trying to get the unexpected to get that edge.
I really kind of like going balls to the walls here with the Camille pick. There's synergy with Sejuani because Camille can start off a fight. If Sejuani's even close, then you start stacking the passive. You get multiple stuns coming through. So there's a lot of danger there in the 2v2, especially considering we talked about Zach in the early game being punishable and not quite being as defensive. Definitely some possibilities here, Captain Flower.
Oh, the possibilities are endless as we load into the Rift. You can see the face of the man who has made so much happen these past 2 games. Right there, Hakuo, the playmaker, the game decider for Clutch Gaming. We'll see if he can do it the 3rd time in a row and do what so many people thought couldn't be done and send TSM home in the quarterfinals. Clutch Gaming, that would be a dream come true. You mentioned it earlier, Kobe. This is a new org to the NALCS, and to come in during the first split of franchising as a new organization and just take down a dynasty team like that would be incredible.
Franchising has worked wonders. We have 100 Thieves, new organization, placed first in the regular split, and now in playoffs we have Clutch Gaming, another new organization. 2 games already won in the best of 5 versus TSM, the defending champions.
And if Clutch Gaming are able to take them down, the old kings are dead. In the franchised era that brought in all these new teams and players that started shuffling around, could be a new look for the NALCS, and they would have a new champion.
All right, Hakuo starts off the miss. He's got a 0% hook rate. Meanwhile, the CC is there and Apollo's in some trouble. The heal comes out though. Lyra jumping in, the elastic slingshot provides the counterattack mechanism. Mithy walking away, ignited, taken low, no deaths.
That was a weird exit ignite there.
Yeah,
Hakuo's like,
take this.
Don't make me look bad hitting bindings after I miss you.
I'm gonna hurt you though.
But that really hurts Apollo in that laning phase. He's already blown the potion, and it's a lane that's going to be pushing against him because they have that shove coming through from the Caitlyn and the Morgana.
Oh, fake leash from Haunter there. He uses a little bit of mana and a little bit of health to kind of pull a switcheroo here. Now, Clutch Gaming may be thinking that it was a topside start for Mike Young.
Yeah, that's really interesting because Mike Young now, we'll see what they do with that false information and see what his path looks like, because he's just going to do the standard Sejuani, 3 camp, potentially Raptors on top of it, but it's very interesting. I wonder if it ends up meaning anything here.
Yeah, he did start the Talisman, so you would definitely assume that he also wants to clear the Raptors. Zach, though, very happy to just power clear. Lyra right now is doing very standard route, clearing out the red and Raptors from his side. Then you do Wolves, and you can transition into doing blue and Gromp at the same time with Zach. And then you're able to use both parts of your Q to kite both those monsters close to each other, knock them together, and they're just inside their leash ranges where they don't run out of patience. He's making a little adaptation here, though, maybe going for Scuttle first. Just a little bit of a ward for any opportunity for Mike Young to try and counter the double camp clear.
Yeah, ward also around that area means that if Mike Young wants to make any moves towards mid lane for whatever reason, it'll help keep them safe as well.
And so up in this top lane, this is actually incredibly interesting, and I don't think I've ever seen this before. It's press the attack for the Camille, where I've seen Klepto, I've seen Comet for having the lane phase. I've never seen a press the attack in the top lane to help him out. It was buffed slightly so that it has a little bit more damage on it, and also it'll help his team kill frontliners because the percent increase after he gets the press the attack off.
You can see so many tweets on your screen so far, even from some well-known personalities. Hi chiming in saying that it would be nice to see some new teams in the finals.
Hi's been around for every single one. He's seen TSM.
He's lived during the era of TSM. He says it's time for some new leadership. We'll have to see if that rings true. It's going to be up to Clutch Gaming, the ones who ultimately have the say here. TSM as well, trying to prevent that say as hard as they can. This game starting off with a slight lead for TSM due to the farm they have in the lanes, but they did have successful early play in games 1 and 2. Remember, it was in game 2 that they weren't able to turn that into a snowball afterwards, and in game 1 where they just completely steamrolled the entire game.
And huge difference here, no Olaf on either side this time around, as that has been kind of the determining factor. Fabivin gets a hit with a slow and early flashes since Mike is on the way.
A lot of respect being paid right there by Fabivin, making sure that he doesn't get caught out from that gank.
Yeah. No Summoner Spellbook either this game. He has the Phase Rush, even though he's up against a Sejuani. Having the Cleanse would be something you'd want for this game, but he forgoes it. He has the Teleport now, which will help him get back to lane.
There you go. There's that reactionary Black Shield we were talking about in Champion Select. Makes it so you can stop those hooks from being successful.
Gonna get a little counter jungling here with Bjergsen's mid push. Always helpful there for Mike Young to take control of the Raptors away from a Zac. That's definitely a camp. A lot of money and experience in it. AoE junglers both loving those. See if there's any sort of recourse here for Lyra. He's heading up for a possible top side counter.
Ooh, that was a very nice max range never move there from Fevivin. That's one of the best things you can do with that ability since it roots only on the way back. If they're at the maximum range, you can make a lot of plays.
Easy.
Wow.
Sir, he's getting forced out up top. Potential dive if he doesn't back. Oh, Lyra spotted.
All right, Lyra gets seen out by those minions being at the wrong spot.
They were.
Yeah. I mean, so here's the trick for people if you're doing invades. In solo queue, you watch your own minion line. When they go past that exact same crack, then you know that they're going to be there. Be a little bit more sleuthy.
Unfortunately for Lyra, he is not a super sleuth, and he was not able to.
It's a bit of a stretch, but yeah, we'll massage it in there.
Yeah, we'll get it in there. We'll get it in there. As now Apollo in some trouble, having to flash away and pop his heal just to stay alive. Sven and Mithy playing significantly different from what we saw in the last game. It's like they flipped the switch now.
Well, they also have a pressure lane, so they have the winning matchup here, the Caitlyn with the range, and then it's a double range matchup. So this is what you would expect to happen here, but being up only 4 CS isn't actually that damning just yet. It's kind of what comes after those summoners.
Yeah, a big part of Caitlyn Morgana is they shove the lane really easily, allowing for them to throw out these skill shots. So then they fish for the damage, and they can pressure you under the turret so they can make some headway on that objective. Looks like just going to have a recall here after shoving in, though. And Apollo should be able to equalize a lot of farm if still being down that flash summoner spell.
Level 6 available on both of these top laners as well as your mid laners, but considering the top had recently both teleported back to their lane, you're not going to see those come into any big team fights around the bottom part of the map. Even though we have that first Drake Infernal yet again, as you guys already commented on, there's no Skarner, there's no Olaf, there's none of these junglers that just walk up and solo the Drake at level 5 and not really be concerned about it. It's probably going to take a bit more team play this time.
Right, you got to set it up with some sort of victory or countering a topside play from your opponents. Right now, though, a lot of defensive control wards. You can tell each lane kind of hovering to their one side of True Vision. Hako moves in here to help out with some, the jungle clear as well.
Second blue buff given over to Bjergsen there for the side of TSM. We talked about how big this pick has been for them historically, how he's put the team on his back time and time again, utilizing the Syndra, and I'm not surprised even a little bit to see them putting him on it at this point when they have to win game 4 here. Want to make sure he's got as many resources as possible, stacking up that tier right now. Will we see this play bottom side? Lyra wants to make it happen on a ward. Sven gets rooted up, ends up getting hit by the stretching strikes. Lyra has nothing to attach it to, and Sven gets away.
Still, they get Sven's flash there, so that's a successful gank, whereas Bjergsen mid, shorts the ball a little bit, but Fevivin, he does have a lot of magic resistance already with the early purchase.
And Lyra, after the bottom lane gank and equalizing flashes on the AD carries there, now moving up towards mid, taking away some of those control wards, some of that vision we talked about, them trying to hover around and open up some more space. Zac is one of those champions that benefits so greatly from vision control because of the range of Elastic Slingshot.
You want to talk about vision control here. Even though it's not a Predator jungler for Lyra, and he's not probably going to be buying any active items, he still has Ingenious Hunter just to reduce the cooldown of his trinket, and he has Zombie Ward on top of it, so he's finding a way to get Tracker's Knife when it's
That's
gone.
commitment.
Tracker's knife without the tracker's knife, but Hakuo's now been caught out. Mike Young multi-layering the CC there. Hakuo forced to flash away from Bjergsen, who wants to chase
Flash
after
hard.
this, but Lyra wants to follow. It does not matter. Bjergsen's got the damage. Lyra's still thinking about maybe making something happen here, but a TSM who have arrived in force. They popped the passive. Featherman's now in the middle of everyone. The Orno comes through, and it's one in return for the side of Clutch Gaming. Sven's gonna be the double kill. Minty gets taken down. The shots raining in from behind. Apollo grabs himself a kill, and Bjergsen's gonna go down too for sure. Lyra staying alive almost until the end. Bjergsen walks away. Featherman has the flash almost to try to catch him here, but the blast zone is there. Febby wants to go after this. Bjergsen throws him over the wall.
He's gonna execute.
Wants to execute on this, but the Vision of Empire will make sure the damage continues to tick. Bjergsen with that DOT on him means he won't be able to get in execution range in time.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, Hakuo will seal his fate. No! Long shot from Apollo.
That's huge, though. Especially, I think going over to the Jhin is actually a little bit better because he's in a bad matchup, and getting him further ahead just makes it so that Caitlyn that's supposed to win it doesn't win it as hard. But look at this. This trade is Hakuo. He's kind of dead to rights from the start after he blows his flash and his cleanse. But the commitment here from TSM is what ends up biting them.
Yeah, Mike Young uses the permafrost first, then hits him with the ultimate for the long duration of the stun. Bjergsen flashes in knowing there's no more escape. But the turnaround from Clutch Gaming after this was pretty crazy. They pop, yes, the Zac passive, but Ornn ultimate comes in, cleans up TSM, and Vivian on the front lines with this Swain just demolishes them as they try and exit. But then the two solo laners of TSM got the return kill onto Lyra before Bjergsen went on that long chase.
And then the W into the Comet.
Most stylish possible finale for what was an incredibly extended fight that goes the way of Clutch Gaming.
And we're seeing that power of the Swain here, where he's incredibly tanky. He had the phase rush and just entered that fight, and Featherman wreaked havoc in it, absolutely, alongside Lyra, who really, he's kind of gone a little overlooked, I would say, for some parts of the series, because Hakuo has just been outshining him a lot of the times. But there, being able to land all of his Qs during that fight to bait them enough to just commit to the Cell division was also very big for TSM.
And now, Infernal Drake is still alive. We haven't had the opportunity to move towards it, try to clear that yet for either side. So we'll start to likely see some attention be paid to that here very soon. 11 minutes is honestly pretty late for one of those to survive by most game standards. It normally gets taken by around 10.
Well, it's going to come back to the kills going to the Jhin. You know, you mentioned now he's got 2 kills. This is a champion that can buy a lot of flat damage early on and have a very big impact around early dragons. Whereas Caitlyn, you know, wanting to build up a bit more from crit multipliers and stuff coming through.
And, I mean, he got that early, that kind of buff to the Jhin kit where you have more AD. More AD. For more AD, you get this Infernal Drake. Jhin is the best user of Infernal Drakes in the game.
Well, it should go over pretty effortlessly towards the side of Clutch Gaming. Apollo setting off the big crit against that one as Lyra's there for the smite secure. And that's one nice neutral objective for the side of Clutch Gaming. Featherman rotating towards this top part of the map, but you can also see TSM wanting to set up the 3-man dive onto Solo here. He already blows the horn, looking to force the play onto Haunter. Takes him very low. Needs a little bit more damage to get the kill there. Haunter walking himself out. But Fabibin says never move as Mike Young's now finding himself caught out of position. It's Hakuo, Febby, and Lyra closing in. The stun from downtown. Apollo off the screen, facilitating these plays.
And Clutch, they're doing it. They're taking down TSM and dismantling them. Every member of TSM has already died once in this game, and they are blasting the lanes, and they're trying to get more of an advantage here.
Rift Herald going to be taken by Clutch Gaming after securing those kills. TSM, they had started a very deep play in enemy territory there at the exact same time the rotation was already happening from Clutch.
And now they'll just continue building this lead, creating further advantages for themselves from those they've already found. They pick up the Rift Herald. That's going to be some turret pushing power here very soon. Clutch Gaming getting everything they're needing here. Let's take another look.
Yeah. Man, Haunter is not winning this one-on-one here in solo. He hasn't gotten much attention in this entire series, but they finally come up to him. Mike Young looked like he was kind of in the vicinity to counter jungle, and so is Bjergsen to look for a dive potentially, but Solo goes aggressive, and that stops it completely.
Good looking skill shots here. Forbidden hits his at the same time as Hako landed his death sentence, and then also lanterned him over for the next one. Ooh.
TSM not where they hoped to be 13 minutes into this game. And right now we have a question for you. Whether you're watching this game in Twitch chat or on YouTube, or even if you're hanging out anywhere else, let us know. Should TSM have banned Thresh? Respond with yes or no, and we'll let you know exactly what the results look like. I have an inkling, and I'm not an analyst, gentlemen. I am absolutely not an analyst, but I have an inkling where this is going to go.
Ooh. Of course, it takes a few seconds.
Yeah, it hasn't kicked in yet. It hasn't kicked in yet. It's not actually split even 50-50 between them. We'll see.
I know where my vote is.
I know where my vote is, too. Unfortunately, we're not on Twitch or YouTube, so we can't vote. Hold on.
Really? Wait, that says NA. Should they have banned NA or
Should we have banned EU?
Yes.
That would have solved the problem. All right. Either way, we've got TSM down 2-6. Still 0 turrets to 0. So turret first blood is still on the board. That is one avenue TSM may be able to pursue if they want to catch back up to their opponents and not allow this to continue to bleed out. At the same time, it's another big advantage that could go the way of Clutch if they continue to outplay.
And Clutch, actually, they haven't spent a lot of their gold. There's 2,000 sitting in the pockets of Apollo, and 1,300 for Hakuho here. So this is kind of a window of opportunity for TSM to potentially take a fight for Clutch Gaming to get incredibly strong.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming looked to overpower this top side of the map, though. Hako actually lanterning him in for a little bit of a rotation down to mid lane, and they turn their eyes towards Bjergsen. He's level 11 now on the Syndra, so you have to be worried about, overcommitting there in those kills. Rift Herald is popped, though, and mid turret is the one you want down if you're going to have your choice. All members of Clutch headed up, even with Solo.
And Bjergsen's backing right now. Feels like he can't do anything here, and it's better to just spend the gold.
Turret goes over to Clutch Gaming. The one thing they still had left to claim in the early game, and they claim it as they continue to push down the mid lane.
They might go for a dive here.
Mira going all the way in. It's Mithy knocked up into the air, and he's taken down immediately. Apollo going on a killing spree with that one. It may be a trade here. The Zac Bloblets will be forced out. The teleport used to bring Lyra back to life so we can try to get away from this one. They will successfully get him out, and they take the turret too.
Woo! Clutch Gaming open up the map right down the middle. There's so much room for them to work with. Let's take another look at this dive. Aqua goes the hook outside while they open up with double ultimates here. Lyra goes right in.
Mithy Black shielded himself during that too, but you would have thought it never actually went off there because it instantaneously got blown up at the same time. So he still eats the Ornn ultimate afterwards. And so even though they picked the Morgana, they picked this counter to a lot of what was going on from Clutch Gaming's composition. TSM, they aren't able to find anything with it.
And look at the wards on the map right now. So much deep vision around the mid lane was placed there from Clutch Gaming, whereas TSM, they're huddling around the top side where they have a couple control wards. There's not many areas that they have to work with, but they're running through the side lane brush, trying to make their comeback play. This is a big risk.
And what comes to mind right now are the words we heard from Apollo earlier on in the day, talking about looking up at those banners here in the battle arena, thinking that's for them, that's not for us. But now they're showing that they can absolutely go toe-to-toe with the likes of TSM, with the likes of a dynasty team, and look to upset them. Currently sitting on a nearly 4,000 gold lead, 17 minutes in. TSM not finding much out of having Bjergsen and Mike Young sit in this brush, but it could still pay off.
They are committing to it. It has worked for teams before. Fnatic, channel your TSM chants.
Or should TSM channel their Fnatic chants to get the power?
Not too loud, because you don't want them to hear you.
Oh, yeah, we already talked about whether we should have banned EU or not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess TSM has more European players, so that might have backfired.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Hako is NA, so
yeah,
you probably should have banned NA.
True NA, yeah, there you go. That was the solution all along, but Hako on this Thresh, he's got the cleanse for himself yet again, wanting to make sure if he ends up in a bad spot, he can get out of that, and then also make that play himself. He's done it so much in the past 2 games, the hero of the day for Clutch Gaming, and it's not like he's stopping now either, but the whole team working together so well.
Exactly. This game, Solo had a fantastic play top lane, and then Febiven, 100% kill participation on this Swain. He was criticized earlier for not roaming that much and focusing on CS, and that has been his style. But now he's roaming. He's just making it to these fights, and a lot of them are just happening in these rivers right on the sides.
And the big fight happened around mid lane, so that was great for him.
Yeah,
didn't have
to roam that much.
TSM trying to hold on, staunch that bleeding, keep themselves in a decent spot here in the mid game. They do not want to drop this best of 5. They have not dropped a best of 5 in the North American LCS. And it was 2016 spring against CLG. It's been a couple years now since TSM has experienced that feeling of best of 5 loss. They do not want to experience it here again. Especially not in quarterfinals, especially not before the big ticket game, especially not with the roster you have on this team with Haunter and Bjergsen and Sven and Mithy and even Mike Young, one of the most hyped up rookies the NALCS has ever seen. Now sitting in the position they are, it's a place you have to rally from. It's a place you really have to focus up because a few more mistakes and it's going to be curtains.
Oh, and there have been mistakes back-to-back during that early game, and you have to just ignore that, but play with the current state of the game. And TSM, like you said, since losing that best of 5 in North American territory, it's been almost 2 years, but they have never lost in the quarterfinals. They've never lost before the finals in a best of 5 here. And this would be potentially the biggest upset in North American playoff history.
Well, right now, they're sending Mike Young back to the top side, back to that brush. But a lot of these blue pings here from Clutch Gaming on the top side, they're kind of expecting this presence up here. And we could see for the last few minutes, honestly, from Apollo and Hakuo, some defensive play under their turret, not overextending, not kind of presenting any sort of target for those plays. And TSM still looking around for the comeback.
TSM might be in some trouble here, though. Lyra going in, looking to find the damage onto Mithy, but the Black Shield keeps him protected. Lyra's going to go ahead, utilize the ulti to get himself away from Sven Big in the middle of everyone, and he is unstoppable. Sven will be the first casualty here. The shots ring out, and they connect onto the back line of TSM as Clutch Gaming find one.
Hakuo with the death sentence over the wall, catches Sven there, and it's another kill for Clutch Gaming. Now they can push up, take that outer turret on the top side as well. Lyra and Hakuo trying to clear out some vision for them to do that with first. Teleport's also ready from the top laners.
Lyra just casually regenerating so much HP as he moves towards that enemy Krug camp. Apollo, finally, it's safe to move up past those darn brushes, get up towards that turret, take another one of these down, and that's the final link in the chain of outer turrets for the side of TSM. That means Clutch can push further into the enemy jungle.
And now Apollo has the most gold in the entire game, and he is up a lot. Hold on, though. Bottom, Haunter trying to counter onto Solo.
Bjergsen shows up as well to try to make sure they can get the kill, but the flash from Solo ensures he's going to stay alive on this one. Clutch Gaming, meanwhile, recognizing the fact that Bjergsen's bottom, they continue to establish control topside.
Yeah, they are just taking all of the camps up here around Baron, multiple control wards throughout this side of TSM's jungle, and you can tell they're setting up for that big objective. Even though it's only 22 minutes into the game, they have a Mountain and an Infernal to work with. Plus, you know, a 5-kill Swain also helps decently.
Yeah, that's a pretty big element to have available. And I talked earlier, I was remembering what Apollo said. And now I'm remembering what Febiven said when we ran into him in between the games. And we were having a conversation about after Clutch's first win, could this be the time that we actually see TSM not make it all the way? And he just turns around after overhearing our conversation and goes, yes, this is the time. He was certain of it. He said, we should have won game 1, but we wanted to give him a chance. He's confident in his team's ability and what they can do here, even against the likes of TSM. You've got to be confident in your own play when you're sitting at 5-0 and 3 on this Swain. And now bottom side, it's Haunter who may be in some trouble yet again. The redemption being called down. It won't quite hit the mark, but the ulti will. And Solo, living up to his name, will find the kill.
Funnily enough, that redemption did heal Solo and give Hakuo an assist, so bonus gold.
Bonus gold. Why not? Hakuo getting that money wherever he possibly can, as now TSM down a man. Might just lose another here in the mid lane. Sven trying to get away from that. Good flash so far, but he's going to be kidnapped. No, he won't. Lyra instead going forward. That final shot will miss. Lyra getting himself away now. The stun up from Mike Young. Hook comes out to make sure there's no pursuit. The play there fails. Featherman now topside, looking to go 1 versus 1 against Bjergsen.
Yeah, but now they're going to rotate towards that top side. Solo's on the bottom side, and he's already knocked down 1 turret.
Solo just continuing to pressure these side lanes as Lyra gets caught out again, wants to take the blast cone, but the bloblets will once more be procced. The teleport could be used to save them, and Featherman will do so yet again. That's twice now. Lyra has been saved from certain death.
That was both teleports, and then they're both canceled. So,
Well, okay, we'll give him 2.5 now that
Yeah.
Lyra's been saved from certain death.
Hanser now will have TP advantage, but I don't know if he's not winning the 1v1. I don't know how much that'll help him here. You can see Solo gets the knock up there, and then once again has that W come off of cooldown. The redemption doesn't actually tag Hanser for damage, but it does feel Solo, like you said, Kobe. And then the knock in, the bellows breath. Yeah, he was not expecting that. Like,
Yeah.
you try to 1v1 a tank, you expect to win as the Camille.
Back to bonk him.
I missed his hook shot at the very beginning as well, so could have gone better. And
Yeah.
Clutch Gaming, they are just positioned so well in this game. Only 24.5 minutes though. Let's see if when they actually end up pulling the trigger for this ban, because that's kind of the next big event that I'm looking for. The bottom side, a little bit of scuffle once again.
Round number 2.
Solo still just wants to keep chasing this one down. He'll make Hanser completely retreat away from the wave. This 1v1 is nowhere close between these guys at this point in time. Hanser just has to yield all control to Solo, while the rest of TSM tries to maintain a lot of control in their own side of the jungle. You can see all of these TSM wards. None of them are past the halfway point anywhere on the map. It's mostly about this top jungle control.
And since TSM don't have much area to control here, it makes the Mountain Drake pickup very easy for Clutch Gaming, and that adds so much more threat to a Baron. But TSM, the only kind of option of the counterplay there would be sneaky Baron steal and trade for Mountain Drake, maybe try and get them while they're across the map or something like that. But that's difficult to do, especially against, Swain has long-range vision of the Empire, so a little bit rough.
Yet another tool in the Swain arsenal that makes the champion so very effective in so many different kinds of situations. We've seen the team fighting power, the pick potential, and even the vision control be a problem here for TSM.
And it's just going to get worse for them as well, because Clutch Gaming double Mountain Drake makes it so that they can do this very quickly. And Apollo, he's ahead. He's got 3 items right now, and he has the Infernal Drake. He's sitting at 486 attack damage on this Jhin. It is basically Jin's day out right now. He's having a great time.
486 attack damage with the Infinity Edge completed means those crits are gonna sting.
Yeah, when he opens up with the ultimate, everyone scatters. Even Mike Young has to worry about it.
Well, he has no armor.
Yeah, he's all health.
They have
He's
to,
just a big
they have to
squish
dodge the
sponge.
bullets.
Yeah, and Hanser really isn't going to go tanky either. I looked at his runes. He has cut down, so now he's going for the Titanic Hydra, but there's no armor on him either. So Apollo is going to be doing a massive amount of damage in this game, and they have to find some way to deal with him, or else Apollo, like they said, he's going to be coming for those banners.
The call from Clutch Gaming is to start up the Baron. Featherman will run interference, looking to keep Mike Young away. He has to
keep
keep
him
him a
out.
hero right here. Black Shield down into Mike Young. Baron at 2K. They're looking to take it even lower, but it's secured by Apollo. Mike Young now in the pit, going to be focused down by the remaining members of Clutch Gaming as Featherman continues to zone everyone else away, and Sven is gone as well. Lyra makes sure that one happens. It's 2 dead on the side of TSM. It's Baron to Clutch Gaming.
Back in week 5, Mike Young up against Clutch Gaming when he had the objective stolen from him, said, I'm never going to miss that smite contest ever again, because he lost it to Apollo. Right there, Apollo covers it, gets it over Mike Young when he tries to get it, and right there, Clutch Gaming, they have a massive lead, almost 10,000.
I'd say they're knocking on the door, but they're just kicking the damn thing in. It's inhibitor number 1 under siege as Clutch Gaming takes this to TSM's doorstep.
Oh, and it's only moments away. All right, let's look at this play once again. Febiven, he's just trying to keep Mike Young out of the jungle. Black Shield is good from Mithy to allow Mike to get
Lyra
around.
smited.
So there was even a chance. Yeah, so he smited, but I'm pretty sure they were coordinating because that was Apollo's 4th shot.
Yeah.
So that's so much burst damage that you would have your AD carry talking to your jungler. All right, shooting 4th shot, land your smite now or whatever for the big burst damage, and it does ring true there. But again, any frame where you see health, under 600 or something like that, you're like, oh,
It's like,
okay.
oh my God, what's going on? But
But that is the ballsiest call that Clutch have made all series long on a neutral objective. They went for that 50-50 in the face of TSM, and TSM had the chance there with the button press to potentially get that Baron from them, but they aren't able to do it. Clutch come up big, and Clutch are now looking at potentially the semifinals and one of the biggest upsets ever.
The gold lead ascends beyond 5 digits, and as soon as they take down this turret, Ponser will try to equalize something on the top side of the map, but they've already lost their second inhibitor. Ponser realizing he has to get back right now because Clutch Gaming is onto the Nexus. The curtain call opens up. TSM has to defend this here. Bjergsen able to scatter the weak momentarily, knocking Featherman back.
The kingdom
shots
is falling.
still continue. One Nexus turret down. Clutch Gaming now decide to retreat. There's nothing else to fight for here. Ultimates have been expended, but TSM's base is in shambles.
Crumbling, but still standing here as TSM trying to clear out all the minions. One more recall there for Clutch Gaming. They go back, purchase. There are plenty of items with which to finish off their push. The only route left, straight through top lane. They've got supers already flooding into the base.
And it looks like TSM are going to try to potentially set up a trap here. Mythy all the way up there trying to set up vision. If they try to pounce and maybe take a fight when somebody isn't there, they could do it, but it looks like they're just going to back off as well. And Bjergsen's back.
Clutch Gaming, with everyone topside now, are in a position to force this final lane down, set themselves up for the guaranteed victory with 3 inhibitors, double super minions in every wave if they can get that last one. Still a 9,500 gold lead, nearly insurmountable at this point, especially with everyone still having that Baron for another 20 seconds.
And just shred these turrets. Apollo does so much damage to them, and now the trap line is set. This is one of the last defenses here for TSM. The kingdom is falling around them. They can see the castle walls just crumbling down. The 3-time champions back to back in the quarterfinals. Clutch, they came in as the 6th seed looking for this big upset.
And you can see on your screen right now, 4 times TSM's had a deficit at 30 minutes. None of those times have they rallied and won the game. Sven taking a little bit of damage now. Mike Young on the front line, going to be black shielded up. Hakuo, dead, taken down. The redemption not in time, but it's now going to be Featherman onto the front line. Mythy going to be taken very low. It's 1-for-1 so far. Support's going to be traded off. Lyra's Bomb is kept alive again. And Featherman, true to his words, will end them today. TSM routed, the game over, and that is the end of this series and the end of TSM's perfect record of attending the playoff finals. Clutch Gaming will be the first organization to deny them their pass to the semis and will earn their spot in Miami.
Oh my goodness.
History in the making on the stage here today. No one expected that outcome.
No one expected that outcome, but in the back of a lot of TSM fans' minds, their fears have been realized. TSM will not be in the finals for the first time ever.
Not just not in the finals, not in the semi-finals either. The quarterfinal team, you said it, Cyrene, the 6th place team takes down the greatest dynasty organization North America has seen. And look at the smiles on their faces. Hakuo, Featherman, this team worked so hard to achieve this win, and they deserve every bit of it.
Talking about who expected this, some of the Clutch Gaming players were extremely confident, and they may be the ones finally realizing that. Look at how happy they are. And this is just the beginning. Playoffs continue. Step number 1 was a huge hurdle for this team. Now it's only up to question marks how far they can go.
We feel like it feels like one of those end of the movie moments right now, but this is Lord of the Rings 1. The end of the movie is just the preparation for Lord of the Rings 2. What an absolutely phenomenal series from Clutch Gaming. And now we're going to go ahead and send things down to Ovely for an interview with Clutch's Grand General in the mid lane.
Thanks, guys. Featherman, congratulations on what may be one of the biggest upsets in the NALCS. You knocked TSM out of playoffs. Were there any doubts in your mind that you would leave the winner today?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our scrims have been really bad. Like, I think we lost like every game. but we always like seem to be really good on stage. And even in the regular season, we lost like 80% of our scrims. But it feels like on stage we just have a switch on and then we just kill everyone.
Killing everyone, especially on that Swain this entire series, popping off on him, picking up kill after kill. Tell me about you and that champion.
Well, Swain is just really busted right now, so I think they had like counters against it, but like you cannot get mid-pro against this champ, so it's just a matter of time.
And you know, Bjergsen did bring out his Syndra in that last game, and I believe it was last week in a sound bit that we had before your match. Bjergsen said that he kind of got into your head and thought that you may be scared of both him and his Syndra. So what's your reaction to that, and what do you think of his performance today?
Well, I think Bjergsen played really well this series. Like, I think his Syndra is really good, probably the best Syndra in the world, actually. But I think I just had the better team today. And I don't really care about the 1v1 matchup because it's just a team game and I can play against any player and do well, so I don't really mind.
You're going to join the rest of your team in a second, but speaking to having the better team, is there anything that you'd like to say to your teammates?
Yeah, thank you to my team, thank you to my staff, thank you to everyone watching, thank you to all the fans supporting us, and I'm really looking forward to playing semifinals and playing in Miami, and I really hope we can get to the finals because I think that's where we belong.
Well, congratulations again on your win. And for more on the game, let's hear from the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. The odds were stacked against them. Everyone and their mothers thought they couldn't do it, and they do the impossible. They make history today, knocking TSM out of the playoffs in the quarterfinals, propelling themselves to their own semifinal berth, and guaranteeing us a new NALCS champion here in 2018.
C9's gone, COD's gone, and now TSM is gone.
And they've looked good doing it, too. You see great teamwork here. Everyone collapsing off onto Hakuho, who was kind of getting caught out of position. He goes down, but the Orin gets in range. The Jhin has his ultimate as well. They're going to all start collapsing this
and
very
Swain.
scrappy fight. And yes, of course, the Swain.
Huge. The Jhin barely gets in range. The re-engage gets a little messy, but eventually they killed Bjergsen here. The
Solo manhandled Monster this game.
He absolutely did.
He basically solo kills him here, even though it's the Swain that gets the credit with the kill right there, and then he solo kills him later.
And TSM was moving up to collapse on a potential
She
dive.
just dips.
And also Hakuho's still playing Thresh.
Of course.
That holds true from Game 3 to Game 4, but honestly, the story of this series from a Game 1 win for TSM to tracking 3 victories, each a little bit more convincing and dominant from Clutch Gaming through the series to end it in 4. Oh my goodness, what a pleasure to watch.
And I really love it too because it felt like more and more people got online as the series started rolling. It started with Hakuho's Thresh and it kind of ended with Hakuho's Thresh, but during that time, Febby stepped up on Swain. We saw the Skarner for Lyra as well as the Olaf, and then the Ornn coming up huge for Solo there. So all of the members of this team stepped up at different points in the series.
Yeah, just again, congratulations. The Swain obviously huge here. As you mentioned, Solo huge. Lyra making re-engages. Febby said in the interview himself, team game, and that's what it ended up turning into. Like, TSM was out of sorts. They were unable to convert as a team, but Clutch Gaming always had more people in the party, and they were able to win.
Interestingly enough, the last 6 seed to win against the 3 seed was TSM back in 2016, and Clutch Gaming gets to turn it around and do it here. But again, we cannot understate.
Oh my God.
Or rather, overstate. That's the word I was looking for. We can't overstate the importance of this win here and what it does to the annals of history here in League of Legends in North America.
I mean, it's the end of the dynasty. Like, put quite simply, this team has been in every single finals. If you've been watching North America, you always see TSM, and this is the first time we're not going to be talking about them going to a finals. We won't be talking about them going to a third, fourth place match, which we haven't had to do before either. They're just completely out.
Exactly, and the history was what I think attached everyone to this, right? They have been in every final. They have such good players when you look at their roster. Zen and Mithy have won 3 titles in a row. Hanser and Bjergsen have won 3 titles in a row. They put them all on the same team. They have Song, who was the coach of Immortals, who took them to finals last year.
Right.
And then they start winning at the end of the year. And you're like,
it's there, right?
There's no way.
Again, it feels inevitable. It felt inevitable up until this point.
Even Game 1 was a smashing, and then Game 2 started with a dive at like 2 minutes, 2-0.
Look, we'll have some more time to gush in just a moment, but to hear more about Clutch Gaming's victory, let's send it back down to Avli, who's standing by with Clutch bot lane.
Thanks, guys. I am here with both the victorious bot lane, Apollo and Hakuho. Guys, how does it feel to be the first team to ever eliminate TSM from playoffs?
I don't know we're the first, but it feels pretty good.
I mean, it's kind of unbelievable. I don't think anyone thought we were going to win. I'm pretty sure it was like 99% chance that we'd lose from everyone else's perspective. So it's great to be the 1%.
Well, from your perspective, how confident were you guys going into it?
I mean, I knew that we can be the better team. I think we showed that in the regular season that we are capable of beating them. It was just our scrims didn't go amazing, so it didn't help our confidence. But we came into this with like a fresh start, and we played really well.
And it seemed like a surreal experience both from the fan side and maybe your side. So what can you tell me about that series? What was going on through your guys' heads?
I think throughout the series we adapted better than them. Like, we changed our bans out. So like the first game, we had issues with Talia Olaf. So like we switched it up so we had better early games. And I think once we had stronger early games, we like used our lead a lot better than they did. And I think that's what helped us win the series.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just did a good job of adapting. The first game was really rough, but we kept really calm. We didn't tilt at all, and we just played our game. And yeah, I think after the third game, we just realized like, yeah, we're better than these guys. Like, we can beat them pretty easily.
And we ended up seeing the Thresh pick come out from you, hitting all of these god hooks and flays. Apollo, any praise for your support?
Yeah, he's pretty decent.
What do you want him to tell you? Give you a pat on the back, have him tell you good job?
Nah, I mean, he's just a Caitlyn one trick, so it doesn't matter.
Caitlyn, one trick, there you go. Well, guys, you were the underestimated team to come into this game. Now I believe you've pretty much commanded the league's attention. You play 100 Thieves next week in the semis. What are your thoughts going up against them?
100 Thieves is really strong, and I'm friends with Cody, so I want to beat their bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, we actually, I think we went 0-2 versus them in this regular season, so we haven't have like a good record versus them, but I know we can beat them. We just have the potential to beat them, so we're going to come in strong.
And anything that you'd like to say to the people who are still maybe underestimating Clutch?
I mean, keep doing it.
Yeah, keep underestimating us. I like it.
Well, they like it. Keep underestimating it. Maybe that's their secret to success. Thank you so much, both of you guys. Congratulations again. And to wrap up the day, back to the desk.
If that is the outcome of series where you don't predict Clutch, I will never predict Clutch again because that was so amazing to watch.
It's something to be said. Clutch Gaming's mental fortitude, not just in this series. We talked a little bit about, hey, losing game one, then the Summoner Spell fiasco in game two, what that could do to your mentality. We have to recognize what these guys went through all split long, where everyone kept saying they're not good enough. We're talking about the line. We're talking about how they can't compete at the top. We even have the jokes and the memes about, not picking them in predictions. And all throughout it, you see smiles on these guys' faces. You see them able to shake that off and say, hey, well, look, we're doing what we need to do to get victories.
And a lot of these guys have been kind of grinding in the depths of NA LCS for a while now. Like, Apollo's been on Coast. He's been on all these teams who have been trying to fight to make their name. Same with, like, Solo down the Challenger scene for a long period of time. Hakuho's always kind of been the underappreciated support in NA, and finally they are getting all the spotlight that they deserve.
I mean, that said, it was already mentioned, because of dynamic seeding, winning as a 6 seed, they are going to move forward to play against 100 Thieves. That's obviously going to be a big test for them, but once again, you've taken down the perennial powerhouses in TSM. I feel like your mentality's got to be in a good place moving forward into that matchup.
Yeah, and you don't want to get overconfident, too, because remember, after they beat Echo Fox, and they're like, yeah, Mark gave us the win against Echo Fox, let's do it.
They lost the next
lose
game,
like
right?
every single game for the rest of the season, and then again, as they're doubted, they prove people wrong. So there is something to that. There is something to having no one believing in them moving forward. This series, though, is going to be extremely memorable for a very long time. The manner in which they really smashed 3 games in a row to kind of, not a full reverse sweep, they lose the first game and then win the next 3. Amazing.
And if we put a capper on this series, the outplays were plentiful in today's series, but one player just kept them coming, which earned him Player of the Series, and that award goes to Hakuho. No surprise there, if I'm being honest.
Nope.
Haku, yes.
Haku, yes, for sure. Obviously, he's great on Morgana. That thing got respect banned for most of the series, and then the Thresh, they just never found a way to sneak it into the rest of their band, so he gets it 3 games in a row and kind of pulls his team, lanterns them to the upset victory.
And here's the thing, they kept batting Morg, and then when he picked Thresh, they couldn't pick Morg into Thresh because they'd already banned it, so you couldn't stop them for so much of this series. The laning phase was really strong against Sven and Mithy.
Look at that game 3 forward percentage, 65%. That's insane.
He was everywhere. They had him under the turret the whole time.
Compared to game 4's forward percentage, which well,
Caitlyn Morgana's a little harder to push up
push you in all day long. But yes, hats off to Hakuho and his hooks as he propelled his team to victory. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a team effort. Obviously, Febiven, we saw the score line for him over the games in the mid lane. I mean, a very, very strong showing for him up against his counterpart in the mid lane, Bjergsen. And again, the fact that we're not going to see Bjergsen in the next round or in the finals, to me, that's crazy, right? Even forgetting TSM, the idea that one of the core members of that legacy won't be there anymore.
Well, even like the NALCS, when has the story not revolved around Bjergsen in some level? It's Jensen versus Bjergsen, or the CLG guys versus Bjergsen.
Who's challenging Bjergsen?
It was always centered around him, and it's out. It's over. There's nothing to talk about with TSM for the next 2 weeks, really.
Now we have Team Liquid, Echo Fox, 100 Thieves, and Clutch Gaming. There's only 3 of those teams have never been in playoffs before.
Yeah. Your only old guard, old guard team at this point is Team Liquid still remaining. Obviously, Echo Fox was in the league last year, but not one of those kind of OGs.
If you include Curse, they've been here since the founding of the LCS.
Exactly.
It's the same org, just new name basically. So crazy to think of.
TSM's run in quarterfinals is over. What else is over? That would be Bjergsen's death total in the pre-15. We put the line at 0.5. And Mark calls it with the single death coming in this most recent game, pre-15. That was a close one, guys. I mean, down to game 4.
It almost looked like he should have got out there. There was a blast cone he could have hit to get over the wall. For some reason, didn't go for it. I'm not sure if there's a Swain interaction.
Couldn't get the execute because of that red buff burn.
Either way.
1 point for Mark here, moving right along to Febi's forward percentage. The line was 17.5.
I said under.
15.4. Is going to be the actual.
Keep doing
Mark's like, what can I get away with? Maybe they'll believe me if I say it with confidence. All right, so 1-1, the tiebreaker will be the total kills in this game. 48.5 was the line.
I called
72
over.
Is the actual number. So
I predicted something today. All right.
Yeah, well, See, that's
prediction.
the thing. That's a consolation prize to the fact that neither of you even got the prediction of the series right. Now, I can't really fault. Yeah, exactly. Can't really fault you there.
They didn't even.
Some random guy on Reddit's gonna screenshot and tweet it at us now.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. Wait, did you really?
No, someone.
Oh, someone. I was like, we should have made a whole full screen for that guy and gave him a bunch of accolades. Now, you tuned in for the start of playoffs and tweeted out some of the sequences that made quarterfinals worth watching in these LCS big plays. Brought to you by Acer Predator. First up, Eric Handel loves seeing Xmithy's magic working miracle in the Baron dance versus Cloud9.
4,000 on Baron, down to about 3. Smithy over the wall, Licorice. Can he stop him? Gets over, chunks him out, but here comes the engage. Double kill Smoothie. The snipe fight goes to Smithy, and the fight continues well for Liquid. 2 kills already, double. Getting a double for himself. Azonia's pop. Will the shockwave? They're cutting too early. They can't kill him. Sneaky. He only gets 1, but it's a triple for double.
I want that top. I got it. Go. Nice. Hey, 바로 삐게. Go mid. 이젠 돈다. Hey, I'm coming. We coming. We slowly coming. Jin. We coming, guys. I'm going bottom.
Big plays out of Xmithy. I mean, again, the level of composure that he shows in these big matchups is usually what impresses me the most as one of the more veteran guys out there.
He's seen it all. What is this guy not seen? He's been to Worlds. He competed with XTG or Vulcan, whatever they were called at the time, with ManCloud. Running.
Oh my goodness.
They were just destroying people.
Bloodwater. The old days. Oof.
So he's been around the block.
How far we've come. Yeah. That TSM won't be in the finals. Then Lex Desmar had 4 words to describe Cloud9 in team fights. Sneaky out of lane.
They're looking for the re-engage. Meganar into 2. They're going to find the first kill in the second, only losing 1 so far. The ulti buys a few more seconds. Ezreal does grab him for a sec, but it doesn't matter. A triple out of Sneaky. Make it number 4 for Ezreal. He's going to get the shot. A quadra for Sneaky when Cloud9 needs it most.
I'm on Azir. Azir. Nice. Top no flash. Wait, I'm chasing. Yeah, okay. Speed now. I'm on Swain. I'm speeding. Kill. Nice. Good job, guys. Oh, no. Tom ulti out. Oh, no. It's not. Nice. Kill them both. Go. Flash. Oh, go. Yeah, I got it. Nice. Oh, go down. Speeding you guys. Not flash. I'm pushing out top. Nice. Good up. Careful. Don't let Sneaky die. Yep. Nice.
Man.
That was scary at the end there, though. Ole almost turned it back on him. But one of the few moments in yesterday's series that Cloud9 could probably look on fondly as they were eliminated and Team Liquid moves forward.
Yeah, you're always wondering whether or not C9 was going to turn around in that series. They ended up getting 3-0'd. I'd almost say that series felt closer than the series today when you look at how close the individual games were. So.
There could be a case made for that, without a doubt. Now, finally, Colonel Cannon appreciated the escape act by Bjergsen on the Rune Mage.
Now, once again, TSM starting up the Infernal Drake, but they are doing it way too fast. Clutch Gaming wants to get in there, but they can't do a thing. And the Realm Warp gets them out clean from TSM.
Bjergsen with the magic tricks. Now you see the Infernal Drake. Now you don't.
I think we should just go burn it. Just go burn it. I can ult us all out. When they show mid, when they show mid. Ult us all out.
Go now.
They can pull it out. Pull it out. You have to ult us. We can rise out to Baron. Ulti to mid. Ulti to mid. Nice. Okay. Careful Baron.
They go ultimate. They say ultimate, ult to Baron, and Bjergsen goes, blue. I'm going to ult us to blue.
I think he made the right decision.
He did make the right decision. I think they originally thought they might contest for a Baron trade or something, and they'd have to go catch him. But it was just kind of funny where Bjergsen's like, no, I'm going to make this decision.
Some of the best Rise ults in the entire league. Unfortunate that when it's super meta, we won't be able to see it anymore through the rest of playoffs.
I mean, they make for some crazy exciting plays, especially when you see things in those late game situations, right, where it really can be decided from, like we saw yesterday, Team Liquid winning off of TPs to a Nexus and not even having to take a full engagement to end it all. Either way, that was just from week 1 of the postseason. Keep up the tweets so we can praise the big plays all the way to the Fillmore. That said, TSM out of the finals. We thought the NALCS, you know, that we knew what was going to happen, that the scripting was already in. Turns out that that's not the case. And Mark was not having it.
We spent so long in the countdown.
That's a really thick script.
It was hard to cut through, and I tried my best.
You even got in.
I mean, I got through enough that's no longer usable.
Here's the good news, Mark. Here's the good news. I can tell you this: the script writers, they work quickly here in North America. So as you have just destroyed the only remaining copy of the current script, they went ahead and rewrote the new NALCS script. And what we found is actually that Apollo and Hakuho.
Yeah, I mean, we had heard about Best in the West. We've been talking about it a lot. Speaking
He's
of
in the
West,
lantern. He has his soul.
Apparently he does. Hakuho, you beat the
Thresh
best.
doesn't have a backpack.
Quote, best in the West. You become the best in the West, right?
That's it. You beat the best in the West.
Get him to MSI. Get him out there.
Boom, West.
There you have it. That feels like a good place to end. You guys agree?
That's the way
I
we're living
agree.
in now.
All right, that's going to do it for us here. So to wrap up the quarterfinals, let's send it over to Freak, Kobe, and Azale for NALCS Tonight.
Hello everyone and welcome to the inappropriately named NALCS Tonight. It is about 3:40 in the afternoon and Clutch Gaming has finished dismantling TSM. Welcome to NALCS this afternoon. I'm here with Kobe and Azale. How are you two doing?
Great. Completely
Super
fine
duper.
with calling it NALCS Tonight. By
Yeah,
the way.
still okay with it. We made that joke a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So Freak's trying to get some points, but...
I'm an environmentalist. I recycle. I reduce,
Okay.
I reuse.
Okay, that one
the loop
actually,
keeps
now
going.
you get some points. Okay.
Yeah, thanks very much. All right, so let's talk about the fact that today TSM and Clutch Gaming battled in a best of 5. The first game went the way everyone expected, a 30-minute stomp to TSM's favor, and then I just forgot what happened the rest of the season.
I mean, actually, you say everyone expected. I didn't expect, the opening to be that quick. It was a really clean execution of early game. TSM was shoving lanes. They had Olaf. They completely took over Lyra's jungle. It looked like, they were just going to smash the whole series from then on. Yeah. But Clutch Gaming, Apollo and Haku said it themselves. They adapted so much better.
I think they adapted extremely well, and I also just think as far as their actual in-game execution, even when I was looking at Game 2, we were watching this game, Freak, and looking at the compositions, it seemed like, well, TSM has the advantage as far as compositional, as far as how easy it's going to be to execute, because it's so hard to pull off Thresh in these late game stages, right? Well, that turned out to be wrong. I mean,
right, guys?
Yeah. like three games in a row, Hakuho was just going insane with his point and click ability, basically just hooking people left and right. It was absurd. I mean, I was not expecting him to be able to pull off that kind of a play. Especially in Game 2, through this big front line. It was like Sejuani or the Olaf or whoever it was, and the Braum and so on. It was just like how did he keep doing it? It was ridiculous.
He was hiding in other champions a lot. Like he would stand next to a bunch of tanks to kind of hide the windup a little bit. I noticed in some of them. Then other ones, he was literally just in fog of war. And other ones, he's right in front of their faces.
Yeah, he was just honestly on fire.
Yeah, guy was absolutely nuts. So Clutch Gaming going to make it into the top 4. They'll play against 100 Thieves. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's move forward, or even backwards to the series that happened yesterday. The 3 of us cast it. Team Liquid 3-0, rather convincingly, but not necessarily like a stomp over Cloud9.
Right. I mean, so it was convincing in the fact to me that like Team Liquid won in similar ways for a lot of the games, but it was not a stomp. Cloud9 had a lot of moments. They were putting out a lot of pressure. They kept it very close for a long time. Sneaky was threatening to take over game after game. His Ezreal in 2 of them was almost legendary. It was definitely a good fight from Cloud9.
Yeah, and I'd even say, it's not even just keeping it close. Like C9 had big advantages in the first 2 games. It was really, to me, just a case of, hey, TL, guess what? It turned out they were way better at the macro game than C9. C9 did not fix any of their earlier issues. They continued to try to play through top when that wasn't really working for the second half of the split. It seemed that they either decided, hey, it's too late to swap things, or it's not working if we do. But either way, they turned out to be somewhat one-dimensional, and TL definitely were dominant. But when I watched that series, as I believe TL is going to be playing Echo Fox, right? If you're watching that as Echo Fox, I don't know if you're really if you're shaking your boots, if you're super terrified, because while it was a 3-0, you still see, hey, C9 was up 7K in game 1, they were up 3 or 4K pretty early in game 2, and you might be thinking, well, if we have better macro play, they shouldn't be able to come back from that.
So, some of the mistakes that we saw from Cloud9 in that game, though, I've also seen from Echo Fox in the regular season. So there's definitely a bit of give and take there. But you're right, Huni and Dardoch are looking at that early game like it is juicy.
And you don't expect a 3-0 to look like there's as many vulnerabilities, right?
Sure, absolutely the case. But that's the 4 and 5 team, right? They weren't the strongest coming out of the regular season. You expect Echo Fox to look a little bit better. And that's what's, I think, a little bit interesting, is because we talk about the fact that C9 was trying to play through top lane. They were trying to find fighter versus fighter matchups for Licorice, hence the 7 tank bans every single game. And of course, we talk about Huni as a player who had famously brought out Lucian and couldn't win the matchup, back when he was playing on Immortals a couple years ago in North America. A player that seems to typically not want to play tanks, and it's almost like Echo Fox will try that style again. He'd be like, yeah, get yourself some Gangplank, get yourself some Fiora, get yourself something else. And it'll just be like, yeah, Huni, can you play through top lane? Because we're going to.
Yeah, and I mean, I think while Huni wants to do similar things, he's more of a versatile player than Licorice, right? We've seen him establish those kind of advantages, even in tank versus tank. Some of the craziest things for me was watching him, go up 100 CS in Cho'Gath versus Maokai and these sorts of things. And yes, that is an advantage matchup towards Cho'Gath, but just how much the game always feels like it's about Huni, even when he's on a tank versus tank, which is supposed to be the farm it out, slap each other in top lane. He just makes advantages no matter what he's playing.
There's a reason why Huni won his spot on the first team award by the largest margin of any of the
I have math on that, by the way, because there were 43 ballots. You got 120 points. Your coach and your player rep can't vote for yourselves, so we could have gotten at most 41 votes. If every single person with the 41 votes voted him as number 1, that would be 123 points, and he got 120. He missed 3 possible points in the entire ballot.
And that's everyone from broadcast, that's everyone from the teams, that's his competitors. He's just universally accepted, yep, he's the best.
He's a very good video game player.
Who are those 3 people who put him at second, by the way? I'm actually very curious. I know we have that up on the Lolly Sports article, but I'm wondering who those trolls are that are like, no,
get out the pitchforks, let's find them.
They're TSM fans. Those
What if it's just one guy who didn't put him on at all?
That could also be that.
He's like, you know what? You're not even in my top 3.
Yep. It was probably me. It was. I definitely voted for him. But all right, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was ludicrous.
Cool.
He missed 3 possible points. He was nuts, obviously. So 100 Thieves versus Clutch Gaming, the unexpected matchup. What's funny here is this inverts the bracket. Everyone expects TSM to win, which means TSM knew their next opponent was going to be Echo Fox. Echo Fox thought they were going to fight TSM. Now it's like, throw out all your prep. Sorry, 100 Thieves, it's Clutch this time around. Just kidding, you got trolled. There's no Liquid for you.
And I think it's super cool because not only are we guaranteed to have a new org in the finals, take a look at the banners. None of these teams that are up there are even going to be in Miami in 3rd, 4th, or the finals, right? This is a totally new champion that is going to be crowned, and it could be an org that just came into the league this split. That
franchising!
Times are changing, Kobe.
Well, one of them's going to be in the finals because 100 Thieves fights Clutch, and so one of those
That's
are
what I
going into
said,
top
freak.
two.
Keep up.
Yeah, but again,
You're losing
the
points.
battle to get the banner. They still got to go through Liquid or Echo Fox on the side of it. Yeah, going to be super interesting. So talk to me about 100 Thieves versus Clutch Gaming. Now that is the bracket right here. Is Hakuho going to get Thresh? Is Afro going to pick it away from him? What's going to happen there?
There's going to be hype. Hakuho versus Afromu. I mean,
Yeah.
these are the two guys that have successfully utilized pick champions already. Afromu, in addition to the Thresh and Blitzcrank, which people are always point to those games, his Alistar was very good. His Bard versus COG also. So I definitely expect playmaking support champions to be a very big role, in this semifinal matchup.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's going to be exciting because this is both of the players from the first all NALCS team in the bot lane for 100 Thieves. So that bot lane, kind of the highest awards from the regular season. They're going to be going up against Apollo and Hakuho, who were certainly a respected bot lane, but after this quarterfinals and after they just blasted Sven and Mithy, I think there's a lot more kind of credence given to them, and I think that is going to be super exciting in the bot lane. Not only in the 2v2, but as you're talking about, like moving around the map on these champions, you can affect all lanes.
And speaking of players getting credence, Solo, I thought, played really well today.
Yeah.
He had a couple of actual solo kills against Hanzo, which was really cool, but this is Hanzo, who was the #2 all-pro top laner. Solo not really in the conversation at all, and he looked good. And now he's going to be up against Someday, which, I mean, he just bashed Zig on Darius like a week ago, which was like super hype, but like, I'm curious how this matchup's going to look.
And I think personally that Solo, while I don't think he should have been in the top 3 or anything like that, I think that he is solid, and one of the things he does very well is mitigate losses. And I think that because Clutch does not play through him almost at all, he is pretty comfortable giving up the minimum and almost losing gracefully. And I think that is a very legitimate way to play the game. When you want to focus on another side of the map, you need to have players who are going to be willing to not be always playing aggressively, to not always be playing forward, because if my jungler isn't going to come top, I don't get to do that.
Why point at me? I always come top, bro. And I
another theoretical jungler.
I have to say
that
also,
wasn't perfect.
Solo has been playing what they want him to play well. His Scion and his Ornn, big team fight tanks for them. They're a team that often focuses on the later stages of the game, where they're trying to set up 5-on-5 fights. Favivin is bringing a lot of backline threat as well, and his engagements have actually won them quite a lot of games.
And his GP, right? Like, he has that carry pick, and it's one where he might get put behind if he's focused, not getting help, but he's going to be scaling. And looking against them against C9, I remember they did actually lose that, but in the tiebreakers, he was getting 1v2 kills on Licorice with no help while getting camped. So I found that very impressive.
Yeah, super cool stuff. So since we know the bracket, again, 100 Thieves versus Clutch Gaming and Echo Fox versus TL, predictions, who's going to win each one?
Man, I haven't put a lot of thought into these yet because we just found out what those matchups are going to be. It's tough for me, though. I mean, TL, I think, looked really strong, and because Echo Fox has been having some shakiness, that is more up in the air than it otherwise would have been. I don't even know what starting lineup Echo Fox is going to be using. Are there subs in? Are they not? Right? Like, that is a big question for me. And as far as the 100 Thieves Clutch, I still feel like I have to be favoring 100 Thieves because they were just so incredible in the later half of the season. But that being said, I mean, Clutch just took down TSM, who was just as good in the second half of the season.
I think if you're throwing us out there, I'm going to go 100 Thieves and Echo Fox for the victories, even though that's not picking either of the teams that just won to get here.
Yeah.
And a lot of the teams were talking about momentum and having success on stage previously going to help them as they move on through the playoffs. That very well could be the case. You also do show a little bit as you're working your way through. So there's always the drawbacks, but also the pluses, for the stage presence.
And I think even as we actually put more time into looking at the matchups and thinking it through, I think people are going to disagree on these, right? These do not seem very.
No, I disagree.
Everyone's
going to be on the same page,
and we'll all be happy. But it's one of those things where it's like. Thank you. But it's one of those things where everyone kind of came to the conclusion that TSM is probably going to win. There's a lot of things that on paper, the more you look at it, you're like, okay, stylistically, this team should have the advantage. That sort of thing.
The second half of the split was insane from them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these guys I think are going to be very tightly matched.
All right, so one fun thing to talk about at the end of Sunday's match, which is the 100 Thieves versus Clutch Gaming one, we've got an extra special feature, being that it will be April 1st. You guys are featured. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but these knuckleheads are involved.
In there too.
Yeah, Jat's in there. NALCS Civil War, Kanata versus USA is, I believe, how it's written out. we're going to stick with that one. I don't know why Jeff's wearing an Azir jacket, but you know that's okay. Kobe, you look.
I don't like how he's looking down on me. I'm focused on the audience here.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm a performer.
Looking towards the future. All right. Well, that's beautiful. So that's going to be, again, after the semifinal, that Sunday semifinal, that 100 Thieves Clutch Gaming won. You're not going to want to miss it. It's amazing, just like all of you here. That's going to do it for us.
I like Nice Freak. You know what?
Yeah.
This is rare.
Wonderful.
I'm still like a little bit. When is the backlash coming?
He starts talking to you like
the Mr. Hyde comes out, you know, partway through. When the moon comes down, you know, that's when I revert back to my evil self. Either way, thank you very much for watching NALCS tonight. We are done. I only had one card. I read through everything on it. These two were amazing guests.
Great job.
You too. Keep it up.
I guess I always thought that those were just kind of there and not for me to get.
I know that they're shaking in their boots, and that gives me a rush.
Taking some damage from Febiven here again. Over the wall comes the axe. Lyra going in with a flash, looking to make the damage happen. And Febiven is caught down. Counterattack in the top lane. Haunts are one.